It is noon. We will call the meeting to order. If, Scott, if you wouldn't mind doing the prayer and the pledge. Yep.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this wonderful day that you've made, Lord, that you've given us. We just praise you for the mighty God you are, and just thank you that your ways are higher than ours, Lord, that we can fully seek you and trust you, Father. Just be with each one here, Lord, and help us to have wisdom from you to lead this community, Father, and just have your interest at heart, Lord, and just to be servants for you. Just bless each one. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is approval of the minutes from the April 10th, 2023 regular meeting. Those are in your packet.
I so move.
We have a first, and we have a second.
Second.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Scott and Fred was the second. Okay, if you would do the roll, please.
Berger?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Sordahl?
Yes.
Dirk?
Yes.
Okay, do we have any petitions from the audience? Okay, there are none. Move on to the Chamber of Commerce report from Houston.
All right, good afternoon, trustees. Thank you for allowing me to give you a report, what's going on in the chamber. A lot of different things happening right now. First and foremost, this Friday night, we have our gala event, which is the first annual PACC Awards Gala event. It'll be at the Mays County Event Center. Today's the last day to sign up, so we'd ask that, just so we can have a proper head count, I'd ask you to go to the website if you haven't signed up. That's gonna be a great event. We got about 165 people so far, so I expect today we'll get a few more. So the goal was to have 200, so we're getting close. We have some great sponsors that are helping us out with this, and then we're gonna get out some nice awards, and there'll be a nice dinner, sit-down dinner, and then entertainment after that. So looking forward to that event. The next one, we have our next lunch forum will be the first week of June, first Wednesday of June, and that will be a legislative wrap-up from the state chamber. So we have an individual coming from the state chamber that'll give us kind of a wrap-up of this last session, if they're not still in session with all the craziness going on up there. So we're looking forward to that update, which I think will be really good. We have, then our next event is the PACC Golf Tournament, which will be in June. It's June 16th. It's the three-man scramble. We were able to attend the Cinco de Mayo Main Street event this past Friday, which I'm sure they'll tell you about. It was a wonderful event that you guys did a great job, and so we hope to have just similar success with our event in June. We're putting together, so we have, one of the things we do is lunch and learns, and so we have a next lunch and learn, which will be May the 18th there at the Pryor Chamber of Commerce, and typically that's bringing in small businesses, our partners, to teach them different various things and tools that we have to offer. The last one we did was over Canva, which was really good. We had the nonprofits come in and they learned how to do Canva, stuff like that. So we'll continue that. Right now I'm working on putting together a day at the Capitol for Pryor. Claremore does that quite often, and so we want to try to do that within Pryor. And so I'm working with the legislative group to do that for the next session. So it'll be promoting Mays County and Pryor and those to be determined, so I'll let you guys know when that goes down. Right now we're working through that. And of course, we're still continuing to work with our nonprofits, the Mays County Trails Alliance, the Main Street Program, the Hope Coalition, and so we're working to partner with them, get out of the silos that we've been in, and the partnerships have been really, really good, and so we've been very successful to promote our economic development, commerce, and things that we need to be doing. So outside of that, that's my report. A lot of things going on. Would entertain any questions?
I think
Question?
we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Okay, report from Main Street, Meredith Olson.
Hey, thank you guys. I'm glad to be here. Okay, I have a lot. Like we were
crazy busy April. We had events. First, let me just tell you, first and foremost, Jenny is on maternity leave. I figured you guys might assume that based on me being here. Shahib's babysitting came 1 week early, but the day after she won the Oklahoma Main, I almost said national. I'm gonna make it even better. It's next. She's gonna get the national one next. But she won the Oklahoma Main Street Director of the Year Award. Larry Lees won the Outstanding Public Official Award. And then Candy Mendeville was, that was in a non-competitive category where all the main streets can give someone, one of their board a shout out and they'll be recognized. And so we gave her a shout out. She was the one who owned Daydreamers and we really miss her in her store. So we also had events like the carnival where we had more than 60 vendors and food trucks who paid, the permits and everything to come here, plus the taxes and on what they sold. We also have this business impact survey that we sent out to all of our vendors and stores. I don't know if you guys want a copy of it but it will be in probably next month. We'll have all of the data comprised of how that impacted the sales for Pryor downtown, because we bring in different people and the shopping and the events, and we were able to get a lot of great sponsors and that's our goal, is to provide something free for the community to come and enjoy, and then they can use their money to shop and really make an investment back into our community. So we did that. The food trucks were there, all of that. Over 60 vendors. Then we had our farm to table the very next week, and then our golf tournament with sports celebrities last Friday, which was well attended. And plus we've done the senior banners, which people are loving, that went up May 1st. Shout out to Big Electric for getting those up there. And then we also had a downtown cleanup and petunia planting. So it has been nonstop, y'all, nonstop. So, and during all of that, we've been updating our website and getting that cleaned up, and we made a special landing page for the streetscape. So if you have any questions on the streetscape, you can go there and get all the information on the streetscape plan, what it entails, and then we will, as it progresses, update that. So, and then that leads straight into the TSET grant. Adam and I, we've been meeting a lot with Ariana and others, working out the nuts and bolts of how to keep it going while Jenny's gone, and the reporting that has to be done, the bids. We did just find out that we asked for an extension, and it did get granted. But I will say, when Jenny wrote the grant, she asked for it to be done in July of 2024, but when they awarded it, they did it for July of 2023. So they said they have other people doing it too. So it's just timing, but everybody, and our new mayor was at one of the meetings as well, so that's really nice. We're gonna keep going and keep rolling out. It's gotten some attention, Fox 23 came down and did a story, and then the paper has posted about or presented about it, so that was really nice. So we're going on that. What we're working on right now too are the traffic counts and the pedestrian counts, which is the pedestrian, we wanna see, it's a great way to gauge our before and after. So before the beginning of the streetscape, we wanna see what are our pedestrian counts, and then we'll do the study again afterwards. And then the traffic counts, we're also working on a welcome packet for new businesses so that we can tell them, hey, your store hours, this is when, according to traffic counts, we get a lot of traffic at this time or at this time. If you would just stay open another hour or come in an hour later and stay an hour, whatever, we can give them actual data on how many people are going down the street and how many people, the customers that they could grab. We're continuing to work on this month, and we'll be able to report next month about the building and business inventory, the parking study, which is in progress, the exit survey, which we're gonna send out to the businesses who have left, Daydreamer, Beach Vibes, to see, what happened there and how can we partner with them and help them not, to be more successful. We, like I said, we truly, truly missed. Those made it was a huge loss to our downtown. So, and then also just the entire downtown directory, we're working on that, where it's gonna have all the businesses, not just the building owners. And so we'll have all of that. And then we also were able to award up to $10,000 in facade grants. And that was super exciting, and that's gonna help because not only, like, we gave up to 10,000, actually the final was $9,970.10, but the people matching it went above. So we required a 50-50, we were at that, in Boston, we went to a National Main Street Convention, and they were talking about some stuff. And one of the things that the people said was they had an investor come into their community and was helping them like breathe new life into their community. And they said, well, we need you to invest, because why would we want to invest in your community if you won't even invest in your community? And so we really like that. And most of the grants we do are matching, because they want to see that we have skin in the game too. We want this. So we did that with our facade grants, and some of them, it's like Robert Taylor, or not Robert, Brent. I was talking to his brother last week for the celebrity stuff. Brent is going above and beyond the matching. We gave him 34 and 14, whatever. Mathematicians, go. Whatever that is. Mental math is not my thing. But he's going above and beyond, and that helped stimulate him into working on his buildings. And I know he sent me a receipt this morning showing $11,000 that he's investing in just one of his buildings, on getting the tin down and doing whatever they need to do to make sure it looks good and is not going to crumble and fall off the face of the building, So I love that, it stimulates that. Spot Nutrition, I don't know if you've gone by there, they have all the flowers. That was a micro grant recipient. And so it just helps brighten up downtown and makes, it was just a great opportunity, and we loved it. It was part of the MOU with you guys, and so we really appreciate that and how it is spurring on more investment in our downtown. And then we did receive the TAP grant. Funny story, we were at the Cherokee Nation Business Impact breakfast or whatever at TU, and we were sitting with this lady, and we were telling her we're from Pryor Main Street, and she goes, oh yes, I know that. I was one of the judges on this TAP grant. And y'all, in the city of Pryor's TAP grant was so well written, it stands out. In fact, I've used it to help other people when they've asked what we were looking for. I've used it as an example for other people to use when they're writing theirs. And so we were like, ooh. And I was like, actually, Jenny wrote that, because I can't not brag on her. And she was like, oh yeah, well you guys were awarded that. And we were like, were we? We haven't even heard yet. And she goes, no, I'm on that. And that's the second judge we have ran into who said it was so well written. So that's just a shout out to Jenny. She just does amazing, thorough work. And then people work with her. It's wonderful. So anyway, we were able to connect with Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell, and he did a shout out for us. He's like, that's so exciting. We're so excited for Pryor Main Street. So we did get the official information, but we don't have the specifics from the our project manager, which will have all the details. So I'm kind of holding back on saying how much we're going to be granted until we have the official word, because I don't want to say we got, and then come back and say, funny story, we only got, or whatever, or if it's even better. So that is about it. And again, so much, and there's probably even more that I've failed to share. So do you guys have any questions?
Any questions? I will add that all of those things that you heard Meredith say, those are what they have been working on the MOA that we have with Main Street to fill all of those boxes, the traffic counts, the pedestrian counts. It may seem like, hey, we did this back in November or December and nothing's really happened, and it's what we talked about. We're going to have some time to have that developed. This is a lot to develop over a short period of time while they're still doing their other events. So I look forward to seeing that, and I think it will answer a lot of those questions about what did we get in exchange for that opportunity to partner with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great work, thank you.
We've also looped in some of the ag students,
Yes.
and they're going to be doing the pedestrian counts for us.
They're going to be involved.
So you'll see them down on Main Street. They'll probably want you to bring them some bottles of water during the day. Might help them. Okay, our next item is a discussion regarding the January 21st, 2020 city council meeting and the EDTA being tasked with recommending economic improvement projects in the downtown corridor. And you have a copy of those minutes in your packet. It's on the page number 2 and it's in yellow. And the reason I put this in there was for the next item, but also to remind everybody on the EDTA, when we talk about downtown and why do we see so many things originating with EDTA to get our opinion and our recommendation moving forward, is that back in 2020, the city council voted to task us with that responsibility. Mayor Doyle was on the city council at that time. And it was a motion made and seconded to approve tasking EDTA in recommending Pryor Creek downtown corridor economic improvement projects. So keep that in mind as we're moving forward. That's why you see that. I've spoke with Mayor Doyle. I think we're gonna see more things that originate in presentations to our group about what we think can happen downtown. And but anyway, do you guys have any questions on that or anything that we can talk about it before we move on to the next? Okay. And then our next item is directly related to economic improvement projects. So there's a discussion and possible action on recommending to City Council that Fund 68, created by Proposition Number 1 on the March 5th, 2019 ballot, be utilized to fund a portion of the alleyway surfacing project as proposed in the 2023 Street Rehabilitation Project Plan. And to talk about this, I've asked Buddy with the Street Department, the superintendent, to come and speak if you guys have any questions, and Councilman Lamar to talk, and Mayor Doyle about the downtown alleyways. Buddy, if you got a minute, if you want to kind of go through with them what you told me about just milling it and.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, I wasn't sure if you just had questions. I wasn't sure about coming up and speaking. So, no, I mean, on far as the alleyways that we have right now, when we first started out, the alleyways that we was looking into were approximately, we had some north and south alleys. I think we had a couple east and west that was on there. That was estimated around 180,000. So what we had done, and then the discussion was brought up that we wanted to do was go ahead and do all the alleys that's downtown. And some is not gonna take as much for as repair. A lot of the concrete ones, they just need some base repair done and fix with those. And those I can't see overlaying them. Again, for us as the street department, it's easier for us to repair right now concrete than it is asphalt. We don't have the equipment. Back in, I know in the day they had to lay down machines. We do have a roller, but it's 40 years old, and it's like I told Jerry before.
It turns into a square. It's not really.
Yeah, it's just it's almost almost a Flintstone mobile right now. You got to get her going. But again, with that, for those being repaired, I mean, if we have to, I mean, that's something that we can take upon ourselves to repair the concrete part ourselves. The asphalt, we will have to have those done, especially with the east and west alleys there on the main ones between Graham and southeast first, northeast first, because they will definitely have to be milled and overlaid with those. And the problem, like right now with them not draining, there's been several years past that, not only in this administration or whatever, but just in times past, that there wasn't a lot of milling done on a lot of streets. They were, I guess, saving money, so what they would do is come in and just do an overlay. Well, their alleys got neglected. Now your alleys is 4 to 5 inches, in some places lower than what streets are. So that's one reason when we shot grade on these that we're going to have to raise those up to be able to drain the water to match the streets. I mean, if we don't, we can come through and mill the streets down. I mean, you can do edge milling, but again, once this is all said and done, then if we need to, we do have we call it a fine milling machine that we can go along the edge of the gutters, and it's, I think it's 8 inches wide, 10 inches wide, that we can mill some off to help drain the water once everything is done. But I mean, hopefully once they get the alleys done with what the drawings have, what the engineers put on here, that it should help most of them. The things we have to watch now, that in the back of the businesses, a lot of those areas back there are gravel parking lots, or if at one time they may have been asphalt parking lots or something, but right now they're gravel. I know there is an ordinance with the city that everything is supposed to be dust-free. So we need to look at that. But once we get the alleys done, there will be more of an idea of what needs to be done back behind them. Again, I'm not real sure, again, on some of the buildup that we have. Hopefully it won't block a lot of the water, but again, you know, that's something that may need to be looked at after this is completed. And there may be some, you know, possible grants or something for the business owners to get in to or go in together to have those areas cleaned and overlaid or something. But then again, with the price that we was looking at, I think it was originally around 180,000. And I don't know if you all have a list of it goes right along with the street rehabilitation. The alleys didn't really have any names, so we just started, with the engineer, we just started off on A, B, C, D, all the way through. You know, and that may be something that one of these days that for people finding businesses and stuff, it's, you know, anything behind, you know, that may, the question was asked, you know, if we named it, would it turn into a street? I wouldn't think so. I mean, we have other roads that's done that's not actually considered a city street. But anyway, right now, the estimated total project, now, of course, it depends on when it goes out for bid, what it's going to come back. But the engineer's total estimates on it, just for the alleys, is $277,462 is what he's estimating. That's 98% of the alleys. There was a couple alleys that I blame myself because I never even thought about them. But we do have a couple more over on the north side that we can add to this next year's street projects if we need be. Because we're gonna have to pull the trailer park off and use that in for this next year because the amount of money that it took to do that. So these other alleys, we can actually add that on to that project and get them completed.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, that's
Kind of
pretty well everything.
the project, guys. Do you have any other questions for
Well,
Buddy or?
yeah, the questions, so we understand, you had 180, then you had 277,
Yes, because there was only a partial amount that we was going to complete this year.
okay?
And then then it was discussed that they wanted to go ahead and just put all the alleys on to get them.
Okay, and
get
when we
all
talk
of them.
about all the alleys, we're talking about all the alleys in the described downtown corridor, right?
Correct.
We're not talking about alleys everywhere.
No, not alley, just this within, I believe it'd be First Street to First Street, down to Kauai. Well, no, it actually goes a little past Kauai because there's an alley that we have that's, for the middle school now, there's a, I call it a half alley. It's a dead end where they used to have the old auditorium. That is an alley down through there that used to be asphalt and we didn't know if they was gonna use that anymore. So we haven't really put any much emphasis on force repairing that, but it is something that needs to be done. So it's actually a little bit past Kauai.
But it is in the downtown defined corridor.
Yes,
First to First, 69
yes.
to Elliott.
Are these planned for next fiscal year?
What's that?
Is this planned for next fiscal year? Is this your budget for next fiscal year?
No, this is for,
This fiscal year?
Just this
So you
fiscal
got
year.
2 months to at least get a contract under.
yeah, that's the thing, and that's another thing, like I said, when I'm gonna bring before them and the mayor and talk with him, that I'd like to have something started where we're not waiting till February to do
So I
this.
guess then my next question would be is, how much money is the street department requesting from the EDTA? Or is that another line item?
That's, Mr. Lamar?
Yeah, that's something, I'm not requesting anything, this was just brought to my attention that
Yeah.
it could be, so.
So my request too is, no, you can come out, Mr. Lamar. I know there's some looking above Western Auto, rehabbing those apartments. I'm probably gonna have to dig a hole in that back alley to make him a sewer tap, so my request is get with me before you guys do any work on that, because last thing I wanna do is you do the work tonight, bust it all apart and then boom, you know, one of those fiascos.
Busting all apart, you get to put it back together.
This is the reason why it costs so much.
Yeah, so what I can do is take some of his asphalt out, the bad stuff, and already have it repaired, you know, full depth.
But the good thing is now with asphalt, we do have an asphalt plant out here.
Yeah.
So that makes it easier for us. I mean, we still don't have all the machinery, but I mean, we can do anything. We're trying to work with Jared now, anything that he needs fixed, when he works on the streets, that we can come back and to repair those for him. And but for as the requesting, I'll just let Mr. Mr. Lamore.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me time to talk. I'm on the street committee also, in addition to being on the council. And I'm the one that kind of pushed this alley project through, being on the street committee. No offense to Buddy, but I've thought that our streets and alleys all over the downtown area have been needing in repair for quite a bit of time. And they've been bad. And I know that the city is doing the best they can on the projects for the streets. And the downtown alley project, the alleys, especially the east-west alleys going by City Hall, there's the traffic from the Boomerang doing business there with drive-throughs and stuff, they're in bad shape. And when you come to the downtown corridor, as an out-of-towner, whether you're a business person or a visitor or at the events that Main Street has, you see and drive in these alleys, and they look terrible to the outside public coming in about how bad they are. And I've been pushing on the street committee to get these alleys repaired. And at one time, we were just going to do a few, and then Buddy and the engineer came through and did a study that there's some issues that if you don't do them all at the same time in this area, that's going to explain it how it would mess up the drainage part.
You know, what it is, like, especially the ones on, in between northeast first and southeast first, those alleys are so low that, you couldn't come back in and just do just some small repairs. Those would have to be, come back up to be able to match the street or have the correct drainage in it. Again, like I said, they've been, the streets has been overlaid several times. I know at least once it was overlaid and milled, and that's why sometimes we have problems with draining in the alleys, is because the alleys are now lower than what the street is, so the water has to build up before it drains out. So by doing it this way here, this should solve the problem as far as a lot of our drainage problems that we have with the water standing in the alleys. So, and it kind of goes right along with the street repair. I mean, from now on, when that's done, of course, once these alleys are done, then everything, when we do street repairs, if we do have any type of slow drainage, then we might be able to adjust the height of the streets to be able to accommodate for the water flow.
Thank you. So, to answer your question, there's a map that coincides with all these numbers of the alleys. And there are a couple of alleys that's gonna be done that's not directly in the downtown corridor project. For example, the north-south alley going from First Street behind Arvest Bank and Hooks all the way south to the donut shop where it dead ends in there. That's one of the worst alleys in town, and that's traffic to a lot of people use those alleys for traffic purposes. So those are gonna be included in this project. However, if they're approved. Now, again, we're asking, a couple of councilmen and myself had talked to Adam about this, and he came up with the idea that maybe the EDTA could help you out with this part of the project in the Main Street corridor. The city is going to do the project if the council approves it, big picture wise, and some of that is out of the downtown corridor direct. But in conversation with Adam, he thought, wow, that might be a good idea that we could help you all out with that. And he came up with a monetary amount of $150,000 to add to this project. And so that would include all of these alleys. However, the $150,000 would be just a gift from you all to us to offset the cost, overall cost, if it's approved, to where it would.
I don't think, I hate to interrupt, I don't think it'd be a gift from us.
Okay, that may be the,
I think it'd be a recommendation from us to the council for a use of this fund.
Okay,
Yes, so.
wrong semantics on
I
the
was
speak,
checking
yes,
my
okay.
pockets. I don't think I have.
If
that
you all
opportunity to give you
could
a gift,
assist
so-
with this, yes.
Okay,
So, it would be, we would really appreciate whatever you could give, but that would help offset the cost of this so we can use that money in other street overlay and drainage projects that we have going on up in the north part of town. So any help or assistance through or recommendations from your board to assist with this would be great. Now, again, the architect, or the engineer says that the approximate cost is $277,462. As the swimming pool architect engineer told the park board, you don't really know what it's gonna cost until you go out for bids and get your bids back. So, that's the approximate cost, and if the EDTA could recommend some assistance to the council to offset this, that would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. So yes, this is a, started out as a smaller project. It's grown through Councilman Lamar and others. The downtown fund was voted on to help support downtown and infrastructure and needs that were done, that were defined downtown to bring businesses in. Those alleyways are heavily used by businesses and by the patrons of those businesses. I mean, Scott, you've had some experience with almost being run over.
Yep.
But-
We had a study done several years ago, and the guy from, I don't know if it was from OU or it was before that time, they said our alleyway systems are great. We need to utilize the alleys more, and just having a business downtown, there is a lot of traffic in the alleys. Yeah, I told people, I joke, you're gonna find me dead in one of those alleys, because people pull out there. There's a sidewalk that goes right there by it, and people will just scream up there and not stop. But there is a lot of traffic up and down our alleys, and you know, the one behind the donut shop, and I mean, all the eating places, there's a lot of traffic behind those. Right, Terry?
So as far as funds go, the Fund 68, which is on page 6, there is $325,821.49 in that account now. And then if you look over on page 8, I have just a breakdown of it, but $325,821.49. If we forecast out about what uses we could have, we do have a renewal of the MOA with Main Street to look at. That's about $60,000 a year. And then with the streetscape, there will be a need to cash flow that while we're waiting for the grant to reimburse, which is $100,000 to $125,000 that we'll probably need just to cash flow that. So we have possible usage of around $160,000 to $180,000 over the next year. That's assuming nothing additional goes into that account. There's approximately $10,000 a month that goes into that account during the month, or throughout the year. So just doing the math, there's $150,000 that I would consider unallocated or unbudgeted for in the future that we could use for the alleyway. I personally think this would be a great investment. Talking with downtown owners, talking with Councilman Lamar, with Councilman Smith, that there is a need for this downtown. Mayor, do you have anything to add?
No, I think it's a good display of cooperation, and how we can do that. You know, when that was set up originally, it was for the development and use of the downtown corridor. So I think it's a great idea.
We're gonna have any more sporting people come for grants in the coming
Well, of course, I mean, we need to
Possibly.
make sure we're talking about the funds, the appropriate funds. We have this Fund 68, which is, all we can do with that is recommend to the city council
Correct.
that you use these and use this amount for these projects. But then we have budgeted monies that come to us that we've been using for grants to, you know, sporting facilities and other things like that, which is something separate from this. So I see this as simply a recommendation to the city. You know, the city council could do this without our recommendation, quite frankly. But it seems to help if we've reviewed it and make that. And so I think, my only thing too, if we do make that recommendation for this fund, there would need to be some proper accounting of the funds to, as Terry has pointed out, to make sure that the funds from this are used only on the alleyways in the downtown corridor. And none of these funds, you know, I take it city funds are also available to do this, but those alleyways that are outside of the corridor, I think it's important that accounting be able to show that's covered solely by city funds separate from this account.
And Mayor, you could handle that with the city clerk
Correct.
to ensure those were kept separately.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Buddy, if you get this 150,000, you plan on adding a few more streets on this project that you already have planned? Or you gonna just call it good, throw it into next fiscal year's package, or what's the plan?
It just depends on how much we have left out of this. Like I said, we had to pull the trailer park off because of the funds. It was estimated like at $365,000 just for that project alone. So what we had planned on that, if we didn't have enough, I mean, according to what we're showing, we may have, like 100-some thousand maybe extra with that, which would not do that project, but it was something that we could, what I understand, you could roll that money over if you have it budgeted in for this year, is to roll that over into next year. If not, we can, it goes back in and we budget 90% of it. But on this project, we've got everything except for just the trailer park. So, and like I said, again, it was estimated at $365,000. So if it come up to that point, of course, again, we don't know what the bids are going to be.
I'm assuming he put some contingency on there too, probably about a 15% would be my guess, but yeah, you're right, you're not gonna know until
it goes
exactly
out.
what's going at,
Yeah.
where it's at right now.
So, and the other thing I was gonna point out, y'all was talking about is that, and I know with Jenny, anytime that we do, any type of repair downtown within the downtown corridor, that I write her an email and send her of everything that we have done. Is this something here that also needs to be added to that counter that they could add to their,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
so, I just wondering, but I mean, cause they would, for the numbers coming up, I mean, somebody that's a lot smarter than me need to keep track of that so they would be able to know exactly what's being.
The alley between the spot and the Western Auto, that's in the streetscape plan there's some
It
things
is.
for that too. So I don't know if that has any effect on anything we have going or not. But I mean, that's later down, that's
Yeah.
phase 2 or 3 or something like that, but.
Yeah, I love this idea. I think it would be great if we could support the project. I am curious though, because talking about the study that Scott was talking about, that guy did say that our alleys are unique, but they're unique for a way for pedestrians. And so I agree that we should accommodate the drivers. I'm just curious if, especially like behind Spot, if this is an opportunity for us to put some outdoor seating for some restaurants and stuff, because outdoor seating is a huge lack that we have in our town, and there isn't room on the front end of the businesses. And so attending that same conference at Main Street, they did mention if one entity is doing a project, see if you can collaborate with them in somehow, some way to use maybe those same funds to accomplish two different projects. And so I'm just curious, is it too late to consider some outdoor seating, at least just behind the Spot Nutrition area, that alley? And then we would have to talk about safety of pedestrians with that being traffic. But I just want to throw that out there because the intent of that study, I think it was like Ron Drake or something like that, who said, I have a copy of the study, but yeah, it was to activate the alleys for our pedestrians. So I just want to make that point. I think it would be awesome if we could include some type of pedestrian amenity, but I understand if that's too late.
I think this is a step one to doing it.
Okay.
And then the step two would be, okay, we've gotten them to where they are more travelable, that then we work with Main Street through some grants to look at doing some things with property owners to do what Buddy said about maybe asphalting their own parking area, putting some seating areas, improving lighting. But I think that's gonna have to be a step two or a phase two.
Okay, I'm just thankful we're thinking about it, so.
So I think what I have said and what, Buddy and from Councilman, if you guys believed and ladies believed that we had the ability to support, a recommendation to council to use $150,000 of the downtown corridor for the alleyway improvement project related to only those alleyways in the downtown corridor, I think that's kind of where we're headed.
Can I ask a question? You brought it up that the streetscape is gonna include that alley. Are you recommending then that we don't pay to have that alley done because it's gonna be paid for in the streetscape project?
Terry, that is several phases down. You're talking, phase one is gonna go through June of '24. Somewhere in '24, they'll start writing for phase two.
We're already writing for phase 2.
Okay, But I think we're several years away from that, and I don't know that that alleyway can wait.
So I guess-
Until then.
I guess the question is, phase one, which the grant has been awarded for, does that even include the alleyway in phase one?
No.
It's the intersection of Graham and Adair.
What's the plan for that alley? in your-
Well, and for painting, there's gonna be lights going over it, and again, it's very pedestrian heavy.
So it will
and
not be able to be used for commercial traffic or
We really
car
prefer
traffic?
not to have commercial traffic. In fact, at one of our last events, yours truly almost got hit by a car, or kinda did get hit by a car, shutting down a road, which Officer Cantrell has assured me that from now on, he's gonna be there to make for sure I don't get hit by any more cars. But people fly down those alleys, and it is they're so dangerous.
So
They're
Terry,
so dangerous.
in one of the public meetings about the streetscape, it came up about how vital that was for commercial traffic. And I believe I'm correct here, that that was all incorporated in. Anything that's done on that alleyway would be done to keep it open during commercial traffic or to commercial business times, and then the potential for it to be restricted use during events. So it was going to stay open for commercial traffic.
Right, yeah, even during the streetscape. But
That was a pretty big,
don't necessarily wanna encourage it.
that was a pretty big push from the public and from those business owners that that corridor there remained open. I mean, Houston, I think you were at those meetings.
I mean, Mayor, you're gonna have to tell your police department that once you do all these alleys and you gotta get all this traffic on there, there's gonna be a speedway. I mean, trust me, from,
Yeah.
Yeah,
from,
100%.
from our best down to the donut shop, it's gonna be a speedway, so they're gonna have to be maintained and, or,
Police.
cause some of those potholes are traffic.
Buddy, now we're talking about,
I mean, it's,
now you're gonna have to put street or signals up on the alleys.
Well, one of the things you do to help control it, especially during businesses, again, is you maybe decorate it somehow, but you before you put a gate.
That would be nice to have a gate.
You can put a gate up through there. Barricades, you can put out barricades all the way along. I mean, that's against the law.
This is intersection of Graham and Adair.
And we had people everywhere on
It's
the
actually
street.
phase two.
Have you put in speed bumps as they're redoing each one of these alleys, just to slow that speed? You just put in a couple speed bumps along the way just to slow them down?
I mean, I think that's a street,
City issue.
city issue that, Councilman Lamar and Buddy can bring up. I think our deal now is, do we want to support $150,000 from the downtown economic development fund for this, Fund 68 for this project?
I'll make that motion in a second, but I do want to point out, I pulled up the streetscape plan. It is in phase two, this alleyway is. So
Yeah, I was
it would be
gonna say,
coming up sooner than later. But I'll make the motion to recommend to council that we give $150,000 out of Fund 68 towards the streetscape
And I
or
would-
overlay alley project.
I only asked you the motion that we're not giving anything.
That we
We're
recommend
only
use
making a
of.
recommendation that those
Right.
funds be used.
Fred doesn't want to have a
Understand.
checkbook and donation plate up here for us.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Ms. Darla, if you would do the roll, please.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sordahl,
Yes.
Dur,
Yes.
Berger.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys very much, and ladies.
Thank you for all the work, everyone. Buddy and-
Our next item is discussion and possible action on providing funding and requesting donations for a 2023 fireworks show. This is something that Mayor Doyle has talked about, and a fireworks show would be coming up fairly quickly, be in July.
You think?
Yeah. And there will be some need to expend some funds to lock in those dates and lock in the event. In discussion with him, I have recommended to bring it to this group about fronting the money and then seeking donations to offset that cost. Mayor will talk more about it in a moment, but I believe the cost is $25,000. And if you will look in your packet on page 8, again, it shows the EDTA total assets of $144,793. That is made up of current balances in the center,
Page 7,
or
or 8.
page 8.
Oh, there.
In the center, the 15,000, which is the remaining funds that we have from Fund 68, so that is out of being used. And then 129,793.41, which is the EDTA's operating budget, of which 35,000 is already spoken for. That is 5,000 for soccer, 5,000 for softball, those original grants that we gave, and then the additional 25,000 for softball for the fencing, that those projects are ongoing. So that's 35,000 that will come out of that 129, leaving 94,793.41 available in actual EDTA funds, not Fund 68 funds. I know that Mayor has said that if we do sign a contract for this, that we would need to spend half of the funds to lock that date in. The plan is to then seek donations. We've done this in other communities. I've been part of this in other communities. So it's 25,000 if that is the cost. And then I know that I've committed my bank to paying 5,000 of that, between 5,000 and 7,500. So if we can get 4 sponsors, 5 or 5 sponsors, depending on the level, we can get this paid back into the EDTA fund, but it could potentially be an expense.
Is that a challenge to all other financial institutions? in the city?
I mean, if they want to take it as a challenge, I wouldn't say no.
Need more bankers on this board.
Bankers first.
So Mayor, if you got anything you'd like to add to this?
Yeah, maybe as a sales pitch, right? So, Meredith, you use the term investing in our community. I know it's been a while since we've had a 4th of July celebration opportunity for our kids to gain some core memories, some things that they'll take on with their adult life, remembering. We also need to look at opportunities. Houston used the term removing some of these silos that we've got. This is a good opportunity for the different entities, Main Street, the Chamber, the city, to come together, to put together something that would really benefit our community. And so the fireworks show would actually be put on by a local organization. The company is Rainbow Fireworks. That's Dale Reagan. He's out of Adair, and he's offered to do the show himself, promising that this show would be equal or better than that show that he would do in Jinx or Broken Arrow. So basically what we're looking at is 1,000 rounds in about 23 minutes. And so there's been some other perks that if we can get this in quick, that he can throw in, things such as, flyovers or syncing it to music that would just make it all that much better. I think it's important going forward that we remember that these are investments in our community, investments in our youth and our families. And like I said, beginning of last week, those things are going to come first and foremost with what we do as we go forward, is keeping our kids and families in the forefront of our mind. So I am asking if we could support this. It would be definitely truthful for me to say that we've had several businesses look at this. We've had several commitments to take it to larger businesses in our communities with a positive note that they're excited to be a part of it. So the opportunity for reimbursement is definitely there. Those funds given in as a donation would go to repay the funds.
So what is needed initially is the 12.5.
Correct.
So the contract can be signed. And the remaining 12.5 would need to be paid by when?
I believe it's by the time of the show. I have the contract here if you want to look at it.
What day is the show on?
It would be July 1st.
Is there any conflict with Salina or anything?
No, in fact, I visited with Mayor Plumley. They're going to do theirs on the 4th, and so he would actually kind of help promote us if we help promote them. Again, being good stewards of the community, helping each other out. So.
And that would be on a Saturday.
That would be on a Saturday.
And we've had some initial discussions with the chamber saying that they would be there to support with Main Street. I know it's a lot in a short amount of time, but maybe some downtown activities that would be there to support it. We've talked about having some events at some of the local sports clubs, soccer or baseball, whoever can get things together to have plenty of activities for families to do at multiple places throughout town during this. I mean, it could really be a big event for the town.
Where's it?
Also during the, is that during the Salina Carnival too? Would we be competing against that?
I don't remember him saying that they would have their carnival.
Usually
He may have
it's-
just
the
not.
Carnival is that weekend and then it ends on the.
But
fireworks show.
when I talked to Mayor Plumley, he was very supportive of this and
Right.
very excited, so, yeah. And to answer your question, Fred, it says that we would have to pay the remainder within 10 days after the date of the display.
Okay, so what you need for sure right now is the 12.5.
12/5 to get it sealed in and then,
And hopefully the donations come in to take care of all of it. If not, but I guess we could offer commitment to take care of what's remaining today.
Right.
I do see this as a function of this trust because I think this also falls in line with economic development because it'll certainly bring people in.
And it's something that does the entire town.
Yeah. Yes.
So where will the fireworks be shot off?
so tentatively, you know, in the past, we've done it at the football stadium. And some of the comments that have come from that are it's crowded, it's close. And visiting with people that live on that side of town, it's too close to their homes. And so what we're looking at is actually at the soccer fields. So they've provided a map. Mr. Reagan went out and actually showed where they could do it, where it's, I don't remember what it was, 500 feet or something from the roadway, from your substation, from the fields, and it's out in the middle of that property that the city owns.
I thought we were gonna do this over by your house.
So people aren't gonna go to the soccer fields though, right? Or they will?
Yes, there would be
Okay,
plenty of
so
room.
The intent, because I heard you say maybe have activities all around.
Yeah,
Is it-
there's,
So is your vision more activities than just the soccer fields? Like, what
That would
does
be I mean, Main Street, I would envision that Main Street would have an event downtown that could draw people there for a certain period of time, or,
yeah, they can pass that on.
I think it could be multiple places.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it would just be limited to just being one
right, because you can
place.
see it all over. I think that's great. I'm very passionate about making sure everyone knows their to-dos, and so I would
Yep.
for this meeting to happen and we all say, yeah, this is great, and then it comes
Well, I
up in
think
2
the-
weeks. So maybe you all should plan
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
meeting together or something?
It's,
I would say that PACC is a place to support the health and whatever you need to do. Also, the PACC is working with the Main Street program and several other nonprofits to put together our Christmas parade this year.
okay, where can
Christmas
people
parade
park?
this year is gonna be different than any we've ever had
Awesome.
before. So now we get to get a head start in July, PACC is working together and then.
And then there's parking over here.
Later this week, we'll support the cause.
Should be able to
We
get
can blast
parking
it
here on
out.
baseball,
and try to
or on football.
sponsorships.
And for Main Street, the reason I asked about the carnival is I know that that's a huge draw. And our summer events are not as well attended as our spring and our fall. That's why
Right.
this year we have no summer events planned. It's hot, people don't wanna be outside, and if they do, they wanna be at a carnival. And so I'm for this fireworks, I think it's awesome. I was talking more about trying to have an event to compete against the Salina Carnival. Because that is a huge draw, and it is an institution of itself, like people know
Well,
what it is.
I think if we can get
It's
the,
gonna be hard to get people to wanna come downtown for a food truck and shopping when they can
right,
take their kids to go ride rides.
right.
Right.
So I think,
Those events take place out there. Because in the past, when we did this festival, we had day events, we started early, everybody would come, go to the food truck, visit,
Right.
kids play, look at the emergency services out there. We had the helicopter flying from the medevac and drop, and they do tour that. So maybe we do that, and kind of get them there early and get everybody situated and ready to go. In fact, we've had band in the past.
Yeah.
I think we had Ricochet last time.
well, I think one of the things to remember is the working together piece is contingent on the funding piece. So if we can't get it funded, then, but if we can get this approved, then we would definitely sit down and work out the logistics and, go like that.
I will say
very
this
deep.
is much more time than we had the last time that we brought fireworks back, when I got a call from Houston at like Thursday night and said, hey, Saturday, can you do a concession stand?
Right, yeah. So, Main Street will definitely promote it and do all of that. I was just talking about actual downtown
No, and I was talking something like, you know, the organizing the business owners to be open or something.
You know, one of the things when, you know, when I think about community development, I think about these visions of how we invest in our community. I think about where I grew up. It's a small town, sleeper town to St. Louis, a lot like we are to Tulsa. We had industry, we had General Motors, made trucks and vans there in that town. And so there's a lot of comparisons between Pryor and the town I grew up in. And one of the nice things was they found that opportunity to involve everybody in. And so, for example, 4th of July, it wasn't the best one of the year, but we had a little parade. Brought the band, somebody, whatever it takes, do a little bit downtown, then they'd move out to the rec center, and at evening they'd go out to where they do the thing. And that kind of allowed everybody to move through the town. And I think if we can promote this properly, there's a huge opportunity for large population of Mays County to participate in this. I would love to have the problem that we run out of room, you know, because all of those people coming in are gonna spend money. And right now, that's what we're seeking. I mean, ultimately, is revenues, and so.
Okay. So the request would be for 25,000.
Adam.
Would be
We must have
for,
gotten calls from other banks.
Right.
We must have known.
yeah, we're up in this, would be for 25,000 for funding for a 2023 fireworks show. And that would be, then we would seek donations to have that repaid.
With the payment right now.
With a
just the
payment
12,500.
right now of 12,500.
I'll make that motion to make the payment of 12,500 right now. Do we need to vote on the other half right now? Or
I
is
would
that a
say
little
up
bit?
to just to
Up
cover
to
us.
with the payment.
Okay, up to 25,000 with hopes to get reimbursed.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Ms. Darla, if you would do the roll.
Fred, can I see that if you don't mind? I mean, that's all great and stuff, but I got a $3.5 million substation.
Oh, yeah, you better check
I mean,
it out.
That's where we're gonna park people.
Yeah, this ain't gonna, you know, you can approve it, but I gotta give it to you already, yeah.
Insurance money can help reimburse that.
And make sure.
That's what I hear.
Okay, Darla, would you, yes.
Sordahl,
Yes.
Dur,
Yes.
Berger,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Okay, and now we just need to figure out all of the fine details, like how close is it to that substation?
Right.
Yeah, we'll visit.
Beautiful.
Our next item is just a brief report on the business advocacy group. With everything that was going on in the last month, that group has not gotten together, which is Houston or Yvette. I believe you're gonna be the chamber representative, and Jenny or Meredith or Casey, to put together that group and make a recommendation for the two other members. But we will meet during this next month, hopefully, and have a recommendation for EDTA for those other two members. And then update, discussion, and possible action on a recommendation to City Council for an action regarding the Grocery Alliance and James Bloom. The closing date for the land purchase was previously stated to be May 8th, 2023, which is today. I did talk with Ricky Hayes last week, and he said that the funding was supposed to come in on the 7th, which would have been a Sunday, for a repayment of the monies that he owes on the 10th. I did follow up with Ricky this morning and asked if he had heard anything. He said he had not heard anything about those funds coming in. I think based on our discussion last month, that the recommendation from EDTA would be for the city council to take legal action against James Bloom and the Grocery Alliance to demand the city's funds back. So that's the recommendation. If we have any discussion, or otherwise we need a motion and a second to proceed.
Mayor, have you made a call to see if, would you be able to get a hold of Bloom or? Because I really believe in that project. I think it would be awesome if we could get a downtown green space and a grocery store. So is there any hopes at all, or it's already been too sketchy to where we should get out as fast?
It's been pretty sketchy. You know, I have no problem getting hold of Mr. Bloom.
Yeah.
A week and a day in, I haven't had that opportunity yet. We did meet with Mr. Lees, Adam, me, and Mr. Hayes. We did meet, was that Friday?
Yes.
And we did discuss that process, and so there's a little bit of a game plan there, but we were really waiting to see what happened today.
Right.
And so I've talked with Mr. Ritchie, and, you know, things are in place to go whichever way the council wants. And so if that is the desire, then we're ready to go, that the desire seek out. I'd love to see us get our money back and all be well this afternoon, but,
I think that we all support the downtown green space, and we support a grocery store and a growing facility for vegetables. If we can go that route, I think that would be a great opportunity for the EDTA to have some discussions about who we can engage to come in, talk to the community about their vision for that green space. You know, to talk to John and see what his thoughts are about that green space, and then intentionally look for a developer that knows that plan, understands that plan, and works with us to then go out and find partners to get that done. I think it's a necessary thing for downtown.
Yeah, well, I will say the community organization has already happened for that project, and so if we want to talk about next steps of how to approach developers, I would love to be part of that, or I don't know what the next step is, but John, maybe you and I can get together about it. But we do have all the community vision already, so.
I think we just need to regroup and find a developer that
Yeah,
will go find the group to do it.
okay.
You may have that sooner than you think.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be awesome. Let me know if I can help.
So is making a recommendation to the council to take action something that we want to do? I mean, I'm the one that had it on the agenda. I'll motion for it to be.
I mean, if they need a recommendation, it just seems to me, again, this is the business of the city council and the mayor. It just seems to be common sense for the city to seek its money back that was supposed to be paid back to the city back last October. It would seem common sense to move on from this whole thing, quite frankly. If you can get a hold of Mr. Bloom, I'll bow down to you, because we have been unable to get any communication back from him at all. And we've got to free up, you know, this is his decision, you know, how long John wants to hang in there. But I'm assuming he's to a point where he wants to have something free so he can market his property again. I think the other property owners want something where they're free to be able to market their properties again. And I think that's how we get the use to these properties, is get something feasible again, something reasonable. And that makes just common sense. So if there needs to be a recommendation to the council to do that, but it would just seem to me that would be the common sense thing to do.
You need a motion?
I made a motion.
Okay.
Need a second. Ms. Darla, if you would do the roll, please.
Sordahl,
Yes.
Dur,
Yes.
Berger,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes. Then our next item is economic development update from Mayor Doyle.
a week and a day in, what? I don't have much at this point,
Okay,
so.
so that's good. What
By
about,
the next meeting, we're caught up and ready to go, so I apologize.
and welcome on board. We're
Thanks.
glad to
Appreciate
have you. Jared?
No report.
Okay.
Week and a day in.
Yeah.
8 years.
You got plenty of time.
All right.
Any unforeseeable business?
Still thinking, this ain't $3.5 million not funding when I'm raising your rates.
Unforeseeable business? If none, then we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Second?
Okay? I think everybody's gonna agree on that one.
Aye.
You mean to vote? You mean to take the
You
vote?
can?
Okay, Dur,
Yes.
Berger,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sordahl.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. See you guys.